Welcome to the Raw Food Health Empowerment Show. I'm your host, Samantha Salmon, certified holistic health coach and author of You Can Afford to Be Healthy. And today we're talking about hypothyroidism. The thyroid is a gland that's like a butterfly-shaped gland that sits right here in front of the throat. It produces hormones that control how your body uses energy. When the thyroid is overactive, they call that hyperthyroid, and usually a symptom of that is anxiety. If your thyroid is underactive, that means it's hypothyroid, and that's what we're focusing on today. There is research out there now showing that if you have symptoms of bipolar disorder, it could be hypothyroidism that's really at play. Low thyroid can make you feel depressed, tired, and bloated, make you feel fatigued. According to the American Thyroid Association, 12 million Americans have some form of thyroid disorder, but only 60% are aware of it. So what you're having now going on is that basically people are going to their doctors and they're saying, hey, I'm feeling depressed. I'm, having these symptoms that are leading doctors to believe that they're bipolar, and they're being given a ton of medication for mental illness when really their thyroid needs to be checked because maybe there's an imbalance there. There's a great article online that I found about this that links to all the research studies and some really interesting personal testimonials to being inundated with antidepressants and mood stabilizers just to find out that they are indeed hypothyroid, but it was never checked. So there's some interesting stories there to just see what's going on if you're dealing with some kind of mental issues or emotional issues. You feel like you may be bipolar or may have some kind of mood disorder. I know we talked on the show before about grains and how grains can contribute to that and why, and I'll post links below in the episode resources. But this is something else to maybe keep in mind, just to ask your doctor to check your thyroid. Make sure that it's functioning properly. Also know that I haven't heard of anyone healing themselves from bipolar disorder, but I have heard people healing themselves from thyroid disorder. So if you're having bipolar symptoms and you check and your thyroid is imbalanced, then I'll post a link below on this one woman, but there's many other people who have written testimonials online about how they cleaned up their diet and their thyroid started functioning properly. Andrea Beeman is another one that comes to mind, who's a fellow IIN grad, and that was the focal point for her because that was her major health issue that she was dealing with, was imbalanced thyroid. So you may, I think there's hope, but you have to experiment with your own body, be able to alleviate or eradicate mental health issues just by changing your diet and your lifestyle. So this is what this show is all about, the Raw Food Health Empowerment Show. How can you feel empowered to take control of your health and not give that power away to someone outside of you, because you know what's going on with your body. So experiment with this, learn, educate yourself, talk to your doctor, and see what can be done to help you move forward with your health goals. So we already addressed the fact that hypothyroidism is very common in America, but what causes it? I'm sure you'd be interested to know, as I was pretty shocked to find out that women are actually 8 times more susceptible to getting hypothyroid diagnosis than men. What causes it? It could be caused by chemicals, fumes, medicinal drugs, tobacco smoke. Any one of these irritants can cause irritation in the gut lining and cause the body basically to seem like it's fighting against itself. So in this episode, I really just want to focus on what can be done if you find yourself in a situation where you do have hypothyroidism. What kind of tools do you have that you can utilize to make your body function better and feel more comfortable in your body? So being strict about the quality of water that you're drinking is super, super important. Fluoride and chlorine are really very damaging to the thyroid. So we did talk about this on a previous episode, what the healthiest water is to drink, in my opinion, and what the health community is talking about in terms of water that's out there. And I'll post a link in the episode resources below for you on that. Ideally, we would live in a country environment with clean, fresh air and be able to spend 3 to 5 hours every day outside. If you live in an environment or in a situation where this is something that you can do, then definitely take advantage of that. That's what the body needs in order to heal itself, especially when it comes to thyroid illness. But if you don't, there's some other strategies that you can utilize. So you want to also make sure to consume iodine every day, and that's natural, balanced, bioavailable iodine. You get that from seaweeds like dulse, kelp, and just stay away from iodized salts because it has aluminum in it. And of course, heavy metals is damaging to the body. This will not help you in the process of allowing your body to heal itself from thyroid imbalance. Like I said, stay away from chlorinated and fluoridated water because they block iodine from getting into the thyroid like we need it, because thyroid really needs iodine to function properly. So what you can do is, I highly recommend getting a filter for your shower head, getting a filter maybe for your whole house system if that's something that you can do to just avoid fluoride and chlorine from entering your body at all. So not just drinking water, not swimming in pools with chlorine, like just not absorbing it, because you not only absorb elements through your mouth, you also absorb through the skin and it gets inside the body. So that's something to just be really mindful of. Of course, you want to eat nutritious foods like carrot juice, green juice. Certain foods aren't really good to consume. They say if you have an imbalanced thyroid, and those foods would be broccoli, cabbage, kale, Brussels sprouts, because they may suppress thyroid function. Vitamin A is necessary for iodine to be properly absorbed, but with all vitamins, I really recommend getting them from a natural source. Of course, you can do a Google search and just Google vitamin A rich foods and make sure that your diet has that in abundance. B vitamins nourish the thyroid, and B vitamins also nourish the brain as well. So I am really consuming a lot of B vitamin foods, and of course they're not coming from pills, they're not coming from any kind of chemicals, they're coming from actual plant foods. So they are out there, including B12, so not to worry about that. Like I said, it's crucial to get sun, so make sure you have that outdoor time, and it's also recommended to do an SOS free diet. What does that mean? It stands for salt, oil, sugar. And of course, we're not doing refined sugar because you're following me, you're doing high raw plant-based, you're eating healthy, but you definitely want to maybe experiment for 2-3 months, maybe even a year, if you can challenge yourself that far, if it's really that severe, to eliminate oil and see what that does for the condition of your thyroid. Exercise is important to stimulate the thyroid, so I highly recommend it. And I found that my girl Kara Lachey has like a month-long challenge, dance challenge, and I love her workouts. So I'll post a link for that below because it's super fun. You can just click on the day and do the workout. And then of course you want to avoid saturated fats, which if you're doing high raw plant-based, you're most likely have already eliminated. The only thing you may want to consider eliminating is coconut oil. That is a saturated fat. You can supercharge the healing with 4 weeks of fasting, juice cleansing, and a raw food diet. Now, we just wrapped up a 30-day raw vegan challenge, and I'll post a link to that below. Feel free to take advantage of that challenge. It includes lots of juicing recipes and medicinal juicing recipes, and it's all free. If you have an issue with your thyroid, you want to make adjustments to that so you're not consuming the foods that you cannot have during this time period while your thyroid is working on adjusting itself. Another thing that you may want to look into is getting a spinal adjustment. I know that's not super popular, especially amongst our community, but I, had the great fortune of coming across a NUCA chiropractic doctor in Chicago by the name of Dr. Daniel Fideli, and I really liked the idea behind the NUCA adjustment, which basically is an upper cervical adjustment. It's just a gentle pressure that's applied depending on where there's an issue, but it's usually in the upper head area, upper neck area, to align your atlas, the base of the skull, on the spine properly. So once it's in alignment, the nervous system is not engaged in this stress mode. So when the body's in a stress mode, it's in stress response, and as we talked about earlier, when the body's in the stress response, it cannot be in the relaxation response, and vice versa. And you need the relaxation response in order to facilitate the healing process. So that may be something to look into. There's not, any like cracking or anything like that. If you're in Chicago, you could hit up Dr. Dan Fideli. Outside of that, nuca.org, there's a website you can find a NUCA chiropractor. But it's just something to think about to kind of facilitate the healing process. So that's it for the show. If you know somebody dealing with, like I said, any mental health issues, symptoms of anxiety or symptoms of bipolar, or lacking energy, feeling fatigue, things of that nature, then definitely encourage them to watch this episode, to look at the resources, and to contact their doctor to have their thyroid checked to see if they have hypothyroid, hyperthyroid, if there's any kind of imbalance with the thyroid. And usually for me, I personally don't go to the doctor if I have an inclination that I have something going on in the body. I just attack it right away with my holistic healing methods of eating properly, eating clean, exercising, drinking the right water. I just go heavy on all of it. I get really strict with all of it because at the end of the day, you only have one brain, right? You only have one life and one thyroid. So make sure to take care of it. All right, so next week, I want to show you what I eat in a week. So I'll be sharing some meals, some recipes, and it will be a really fun episode. So I'll see you next week.